All right, here we go. We have one of the rising artists in the Atlanta underground music scene and all that. Also, a tour DJ, producer, man of all trades and all that. Has produced for a lot of artists, like even with Kenny Mason too. So we have DvDx on the platform. How are you doing today, man?
Man, I'm good, bro. Man, appreciate you for having me, bro.
For sure, man. And like the crazy story is that I actually saw you, like I actually heard about you when I was doing like coverage for another publication like a while back, 2 years ago, when you were like the tour DJ for Kenny Mason at the Access Club in Toronto when he did, I
Oh,
think it was like
word.
first ever like tour and all that. So he was like all over like the country, like even like with the US for a bit too within like 2022, like in the winter and all that. And
hmm
then I think you guys just came back from tour right now, right?
Yeah, yeah. We just finished a couple weeks ago.
Nah, for sure, man. And it's like amazing to see and all that too. And like even like seeing your performance too, because like, like there was like no opener at the Toronto show like a while back too. I just noticed that, you were like performing for a bit too, which is like kind of like interesting too. And then it kind of gravitated me to like check out your stuff and check out your music from there. And, some of the releases were like crazy and all that, like Beat It Up, Sensory Overload too, your stuff with like Jazz Ingram, Jelani, Amani and all that, and even with the EPs as well too, like Too Hard and Too Up, they're pretty dope as well too, and the Irreplaceable Now also, so
Yeah.
for
Dang,
sure,
man.
man.
Yeah,
And
nah, you definitely know what you're talking about.
for sure. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did like a lot of my other research too and all that. And like I noticed you have like a lot of like dope production credits, which we'll definitely get through and all that. You produced for like Kenny Mason with like Hit, Firestarter, Metal Wings, Pretty Thoughts, Pulp Fiction. You actually produced like, one of the biggest hits like in Jaleel's like catalog with Mike Dimes, which is like Clubhouse and like also Jaleel Juice. You did some
Yeah.
stuff with like Femme, like for Watery and all that, Wiley from Atlanta. Kodie Shane with like Hey Nikki, Bear One Boss, Too Fine, David the Tragic with DF, and I don't know if I can confirm this, but did you actually do a remix of Group Love's song Inside Out by any chance?
Yeah, I did.
Oh shit. So like before we get into like everything else, like tell me more about that and like how did that like came about and all that, no?
That the group love remix.
Yeah, yeah.
So this A&R that we had met like back in like 2019, he in 2020 like he hit me up randomly and he said, "Yo, like I need a remix for like Group Love," because he was like an A&R on their label, and he said, "Yo, like I need a remix for Group Love like real fast because I just asked this one dude to do it and it was really bad." And so and so I just like I kind of just knocked it out in a day. And yeah, that was like my first time like doing like an official remix for like a group. Nonetheless, like an alternative group. Like that was kind of crazy.
Nah, that's definitely fire because like when I was like checking it out because it was like under I think Atlantic Records I think too and like it was kind of
Mhm.
like a crazy like hit for a bit too, like a something to kind of put like in your catalog too for a bit, like when people like tend to tap in with your stuff and all that. So nah, it's definitely amazing to see and all that. No,
Yeah, nah, it does like kind of stick out like a sore thumb in my catalog or like my discography like for production, but I feel like I should get back into doing like or try to do more remixes. Like I think that's really cool.
nah, for sure, and we're gonna definitely get it like started right here. So you were born and raised in Atlanta, correct?
I was raised in Atlanta. I was not born in Atlanta.
Oh,
So, I was actually born in Okinawa, Japan.
oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, like, my dad was in the military, and so, like, he was stationed over there when I was born, and so, yeah, well, my both my parents were out there, and so, yeah, and I moved to like Norfolk, Virginia, like when I was like maybe like 2 years old, and then by the time I was like 3 or 4, like I moved like to Atlanta.
Ah, for sure, man. And even like growing up in those areas, like what were like the environments like for you growing up there? And would you say it was just like a great experience, growing up like as a nomad in like different countries and all that?
I mean, I don't really remember like moving around too much. Like I just mainly like my upbringing was like Atlanta and like, kind of a little bit of like Metro Atlanta, a little bit like in my younger years. But like it would definitely like I will say it did definitely have an impact on me heavy. Like I would say like early in life, like family was really, really important and being sure making sure to be like around family. And like my family is like really, really musical. Like my uncles are like known for making music. So they have like a record label called Collie Park Music, and they signed like a bunch of people like Yin Yang Twins, Soldier Boy, Hurricane Chris, like a lot of those guys. So I did grow up like I guess around seeing like music as like a real career, and that definitely had like a huge impact on me like making music and like wanting to do music for sure.
For sure, man. And yeah, I mean, Atlanta, like, it is like a very great like music scene, like in terms of like the unity and like black excellence and all that too. Like I've had like other people like on the platform that were from like Atlanta, like Jay Newton, who's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a well-known like rapper from the city. Like he did like a project called like Ellenwood for a bit too. And like he had like some hits as well too. And like like even like the music, like he talked about like how it is like so impactful like with the culture and all that. But like even like as someone that grew up within music, like what do you think makes the city such like a great place for like unity and black excellence, like when it comes to music and like the arts and everything else and all that?
I think it's what like the city values, honestly. I think the city itself, like the people within the city value art and like music. A lot of people like and I feel like I don't know, a lot of people now are a little like frustrated because like I guess they know how much the city should value art or like it's entertainment. Like it's like a big entertainment city. Like they shoot all the biggest movies in Atlanta now, and like they like yeah, just I don't know. It's always just been centered around like entertainment and art, and I think that's and also just being in like blackness too. Like it's like it's I think just those that combination of things is like a perfect like mixing pot for people to really like I guess really believe in themselves and and really like I guess indulge into like music and art and like and just being yourselves. And I think that's how you got a lot of the artists that are the greatest artists from Atlanta today. So
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Because I know with Atlanta, like they have like a lot of like creativity from like the 2000s until like even like the 90s until now and all that with like Outkast and all that Goody Mob, and then you could say that with like Gucci Mane, Ti, like Ludacris, all those people, and then you see like D Pharrell and like Shawty Lo and all that, and like Young LA and the Rich Kids and all that, and like Jose Guapo and like all these other people too, even to like Young Thug, Pee Wee, like Longway, and even to like some of like the new acts too, like Anicia, Tony, like Snow and all that,
Mhm.
Caribou, Concrete, like the Concrete Crew and all that, which is like amazing to see and all that, so
Yeah.
for sure, man. And like aside from like your family and all that, like what was like your first actual like introduction to music, and who were like some artists or genres that you grew up like listening to and all that?
Man, so I'll say like my very first CD I ever owned, I think I got it like for Christmas one year. It was Confessions by Usher. And like I that was like my first time like really like sitting with an album. I was like really really young, like super super young. And yeah, that was like my first introduction, and like that was like my first favorite album and my first favorite artist like Usher. And like I grew up like listening to like my parents used to always play like nothing but like old school R&B. Like that's all I heard like coming up, and like gospel too. Like yeah, gospel and old school R&B. So like stuff from the 80s, 70s, like all that. A little bit of stuff from the 90s, but like mostly like yeah, like 70s and 80s. But yeah, and yeah, like I did listen to like Kirk Franklin a lot like growing up. My mom really loves like Marvin Gaye. And then also my dad, he loves music too. Like he's like so he kind of put me onto a lot of different things. Like he when he was stationed up in like Virginia or DC or and yeah, in Virginia, he would like, he discovered go-go music. And so he had like a couple of like go-go CDs like he would play like in the car like as a kid. And also he would also play like jazz too. But not like Dizzy Gillespie jazz. It'd be like smooth jazz, like and like the weird like I don't know the kind of weird jazz where like they would remake like popular songs and then just have like a saxophone play the verses.
Yeah, yeah, nah, for
Yeah,
sure, yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
so
mean, I mean, go-go is like pretty like creative, like in a sense too, and all that. I think just like even with the instrumentation and everything else too, and yeah, like
Mhm.
even gospel and R&B too, like they're also like great like sounds as well too. And would you say that it helped you get into your start like in producing and like DJing and like even making music?
Yeah, so like I would say like the first time I really felt like I wanted to make music was when I found out like when I found like Chris Brown. Like he was just like really cool, and I used to love to like dance and like, and sing around the house and all that. And so I actually performed Run It at my third grade talent show. And, and so yeah, but and that I think that really like kind of like made me think like, dang, I want to like try this myself. And eventually it like bubbled up like I would write songs, like they wouldn't be good and I wouldn't record them, but I'd just be writing stuff down. And eventually I'd like try rapping or try writing a rap. And I was like, dang, this is really cool. And then, eventually like after I like figured, okay, I think I want to rap, I like was like, dang, I need some beats. And so that's how I ended up even getting into production. Just simply just wanting like to make try to just trying to make my own beats. Cause like first time I like reached out to somebody for some beats, I was like maybe like what, like 12, 13, and they were like, and I asked like, hey, can I use this beat? And they were like, what's your budget? And I was like, budget? I'm I'm like 13, 14 years old. Like I don't have a budget. Like, and so yeah, yeah, pretty much took it upon myself and downloaded FL Studio on my computer and was just like, let me just try this, and fell in love with it, honestly.
Nah, for sure not. That's actually like kind of like an interesting way to do, to kind of be like self-driven into like even like create like stuff and all that too. And like as far as like the first song and like other stuff that you like made and all that, like what were like they like in a sense and all that?
Man, the first song I ever recorded. Well, first song I ever like recorded myself, because I did record in the studio with my uncle one time, like because my cousin like was me and him were trying to like rap. We wanted to make a group for a second, and so we got like a studio session, and like I just got in there and sucked. I was bad, like it was really bad. But so after that, like I kind of just tried to figure it out all on my own, and the first song I recorded by myself, I remember. It was a song called Hot Diggity. Because the sample was it was a sample, like it was a sample called like I think the song that I sampled was called Hot Diggity. And it was like some kind of like 50s like Broadway or like show tune type thing. And like I sampled it. I was like I chopped up the sound like and it was kind of like it was heavily like influenced by like stuff like 6 foot, 7 foot, and like a milli. Like I was just trying to rap and like get my punchlines off, and it kind of, yeah, it kind of felt a little bit like Childish Gambino too, a little bit. But yeah, like that was like my first song and like the first song actually dropped was kind of similar to that too, where it was just like I was just kind of like trying to bar up over like a chop sample. So yeah.
Oh, nah, for sure, man. And like in terms of like the inspiration and like the start like within your music, like what inspired you to become like a man of all trades, like in terms of like rapping, producing, DJing, and like just being an artist and like even like taking that seriously, like in a sense.
Man, really, I don't know. I don't know if I might have trust issues, but I always feel like I can just like if I want something done right, or at least the way I want it to be done, I probably have to like, do it myself. And that's like it's a blessing and a curse to feel that way, because like it definitely pushed me to like learn all types of different things. Like I know how to do like so many different things just because like I've been, doing this, like doing all types of like all like every facet of like, my career, like pretty much, and also just helping other people, for so long. So yeah, I mean like it's really just like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a blessing and a curse to just be able to do it all. But yeah, I think it just comes from just wanting to just make sure everything is right and do it the way that I want to do. And also I just like trying new things too.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, definitely like amazing to see and all that. And like, as I was like doing like a little bit of my research and all that, like, some of your like first releases were actually with like Kenny Mason and all that too. So how did you manage like to meet him, and like tell me more about like the friendship and the working relationship with him, and like how he's like outside the music and the limelight and all that?
Man, so I met Kenny for the first time probably like when I was like in 2014. I was still in high school, and he like we had like mutual friends. Like we went to different schools, but but he I had a friend at my school that knew one of his friends at his school, and so I ended up just like seeing him on Instagram and seeing his stuff on Instagram, and then of course just just checking it out, and I was like, dang, this is actually good. And so I hit him up randomly, like just yo, like I want to do a session with you, like pull up to my crib, like we should work. And like yeah, we didn't know each other at all, and he just pulled up just dolo, and we worked on like 3 songs that day, and they were cool or whatever, but yeah, we just kept in contact. But then I would say like once I graduated high school, I would like pull up over to his spot a whole lot more, and just we were just working. We got really really cool, and like since then just kind of like been like this for real.
For
Yeah.
sure. Because I know, like, with Kenny, like, I know, like, he is like very open, in, like, a lot of aspects, like, in his life and all that too. Like, with him, like, being like vegan and all that. Like, with him, with his like musical influences and all that, like, ranging from like punk to rock to everything like that too. Like, even with the subject matters about like love, relationships, like, the Atlanta lifestyle, like everything like that too. So it is definitely to see like how it has like manifested with like people like around him in a sense and all that.
hmm Yeah, man. Now he's bro, he's a real smart guy, bro. Like I that's one thing I could say about him, like outside of like music, that I mean you could probably tell from the music, but he definitely like he knows what he's doing like a lot of the times, and like he's very, very, very focused. Like I don't think I've seen anybody like work as hard as like him.
Oh, for sure. And I guess like even like outside of the music and all that too, and like the limelight, like I guess he's like the same person like in and out, like in a way and all that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like he kind of like gives like the public like what like only what he wants them to have, Like I feel like I mean I definitely know him like, a whole lot more than like he like, may want like the whole public to like see. But yeah, but I mean generally though, like he's a pretty chill guy. Like he's, like really like loves music. He's real like, I would say he's very like persistent, and very like, not like I guess very like if he wants to do something he's gonna do it. He's like, and if he like he really like feels the type of way about something, he's like really passionate about that.
Nah, for sure, for sure. And like doing like more of my research and all that, you actually went to Georgia State, before dropping out to pursue more like in your music and all that. So how was that experience like, like even going to like a university like that or like a college like that, and like the school life there, like in a sense?
Man, it was kind of weird. So like it felt like high school like 2.0, because like it was just I was staying at home. Like I was like yeah, I was staying at home when I actually went there, because literally like Georgia State was like probably maybe like 3 miles max away from where I went to high school at. So it was just like, and like I was actually like closer, like Georgia State was actually closer to my house than my high school. So I had already like I was already familiar with it, and I had always already just been walking around the city so much. So it kind of felt like I don't know, like not much had really changed, and like it didn't really feel like I was like I don't know, moving. I don't know, like I guess I didn't have like the same like college experience as everybody else. Like when they say, oh, like you get your first taste of freedom, and you just meet all new people, and you really like get to like find yourself and like discover who you are, like but because it was just I don't know, it just felt like it just kind of felt the same. And so but also in the same breath though, it really like it helped me in a lot of different ways, because there's this like student organization up there. At the time it was called Panther Entertainment Group, but now it's called National Collegiate Entertainment Group. And it basically like when I first got there, like I found out when I found out about it, I saw they were saying, oh, it's like pretty much like a music industry, entertainment industry club where people like they talk about the music industry. They might have like some guest speakers come in. But then when I went into like the introduction meeting, the brand new president who was like the became president that year, he said, "Yo, like this is we're about to change this whole thing." And basically it ended up becoming like a hub for like artist development for artists that go to Georgia State.
Oh,
And
nice.
eventually, and so yeah, it really like helped me and Kenny like brush up on our like performance chops and like really like because they really critiqued us. We had like rehearsals, like they put us on some shows, and yeah, it was kind of like that was like amazing. Like that was kind of like that really helped really me and Kenny a whole lot. And now like they've expanded to almost every like to or I think every major university in Georgia, like they have a chapter in there. So yeah, they like that's I'm really proud of them. But that was like I feel like that was the most essential part of like Georgia State for me, like just being a part of that organization. But everything else though, it was just kind of I don't know. I would like
Yeah.
when I didn't even want to like go to college for real at first. Like I kind of like, but everybody was just like, at least just try, like give it a try, and because like every by the time I was like graduating like high school, like everybody knew that I just wanted to do music. That's just what I wanted to pursue, and I kind of like was like, yo, like what's the point in like going to school? And I mean, I get the point in going to school for sure. But the one of the big reasons why I dropped out was because I saw people graduating and still kind of being in square one and not knowing what to do next, like not being able to secure a job and not really, having a foundation or like connections or like, a place to like work, And so I was just like, so basically you want me to spend these 4 years doing all this when I could really just focus on making music and probably be closer to my goal within music than if I just like, did school and then like graduated and then had to like kind of start over. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. That was just my reasoning behind it.
Yeah. Because I know like college life too, like there is like a lot of like stereotypes and cultures that, we do tend to see like, with like the drum line, with like, like the frats and all that too, Greek life and all that, like football season. Like I know like Georgia State, it's like kind of like big in football, but we don't really see like other like outliers, like, even like how certain cultures are like formed, like even with the school system, like in Georgia State and like Morehouse and all those other places, they were like the first ones to like find like Freaknik and all that too, which kind of created like a unique like subculture like in a sense too and all that. And not it is like interesting to see it from like different perspectives and like different reasonings why like college might work out like or like it might not work out for like others and all that like in a sense. So
hmm Yeah.
for sure. And like just like getting back more onto like your music and stuff like that too, like what are your like creative processes like when making music, and like what would like a day in the studio be like for you?
Man, it changes. It definitely varies. Like it depends on like if I'm working just by myself or like who if I'm working first like with somebody. But a lot of times at first like when I was like, making music, I would just try to have a beat and then just write to it, like, and then record it. But a lot of times now, like, I'll have like probably a beat or something, or I might start with a beat, but then I'll just like write as I record, like write, record as a way of writing, just and that way, because like I feel like it's more about like how it sounds than like what you're saying a lot of the times to me. So like I'll try to like figure out like how I'm going to say what I'm going to say before I actually say it,
For
or
sure.
before I actually figure out what I want to say.
For sure. And like with a song like Beat It Up, which is like kind of like, one of your most like recent singles and all that too, was it kind of like the same like creative process like when making it, and or was it like sort of something like totally like different, like even like with the inspiration and all that?
Yeah, so like with that song, earlier that day, I had the beat first. Like so when I made the beat, I was at my homie's house and he was in a different room and I was just I was listening to the this compilation album called So So Def Bass All Stars. And like that's like it has like those really like up tempo, like I guess like Miami bass, like Freaknik type songs on it. Like and also has that one song that My Boo song that kind of went viral on TikTok. Yeah, that's on that project. But I realized I had never heard like really like done my like due diligence and actually like listen to the full project. And like I was just like listening to that, and then the next thing I know, like when I like sat down at the computer, I just made like just drums, just nothing but drums, like just focusing on the groove. And so I really like that beat. And like one day I think I was listening to it, and I heard the little chicka 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 in the beat, and I was like, let a nigga beat it up, let a nigga beat it up. And that just instantly came to me like, and I was just like, this is so stupid, I have to record it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, I didn't like really have any intention for the song. Like when I recorded, I just was like, let me just record this because it's something, and like it could be a joke, it could be like it could go like I don't know, but let me just record it because it's so like I don't know, it was just very, very like clear. I don't know.
Oh,
It just
nice.
it's like the song kind of wrote itself for real. And like I was just like, yeah, let me just throw like an ultra simple like verse on here. And
Uh,
yeah, that's
nah,
pretty
for
much how
sure.
that song came about.
Nah, for sure, man. And like, I mean, like, even with certain songs too and all that, like, I do notice, like, even with certain samples, like, certain like styles and all that, like, they do kind of have like a reminiscence, like the 50 sound, like, as you mentioned, like, with your first single and all that too. Like, even like one example I could say, like, like BBL Drizzy by Metro, which kind of has like that, like, little 50s, like 60s sound and all that too.
Mhm.
Do you feel like it is like kind of reminiscent to like the whole like so def type sound and all that, or like even just like with that whole like 50s thing you talked about?
Oh yeah, I mean, you mean like Beat It Up in particular?
Yeah, like I mean, well, not well, yeah, just like sort of like beat it up, like in a sense too, like, but like even with like some of like the other stuff too, like with the two up and like too hard, like stuff and all that.
Hmm. Yeah, so like I mean, well, like with Beat It Up and like Two Hearts, like the more up tempo stuff, that definitely is like I feel like it ranges between like the like bass music, like or I'll say like Beat It Up was definitely like more like 90s like bass music, like up tempo stuff. But I would say like Two Hearts was more, I would say probably more like 2000s, like yeah, like 2000s inspired, like just kind of like I guess like 2006 to like 2009 like R&B, like pop R&B, though. That was like I loved that era so much. Like that was like one of my favorites, like. And that was like one of my first, that was like when I like first, I would say, like became like cognizant of like, oh, this is like popular music that I like and that I like, stuff that I like, really I'm really into. So but with Two Up, I was kind of, though that's more so the just like I would say that's more um that's more like now, or I guess like more like 2020s sound and stuff. Yeah, just more, I guess, ragey. But yeah, because like yeah, it has, I don't know, it's also just it has like a lot of like pop stuff or like poppy sound and stuff. Like I'm always like heavily inspired by pop music, of like all different eras. But I love like me personally, just generally speaking, not even like I guess directly influenced on most of on these projects, but generally I love like 80s pop. 80s pop and like 2000s pop. Those are like I really love those eras for real. They just
No.
have like a whole different, I don't know, the melodies and like the earworms, they have like a whole different like energy to them.
For sure. And to speak more on like your stage name, like David X and all that, even though some people might say like DvDx, like if they were to read it like out loud, but what was like the whole like inspiration and like backstory even like behind that name and all that?
So, like the first name that I can't ever came up with, like as a stage name, it was bad. It was David X Music, but like the music was spelled Muzik. And it was supposed to be like, I guess I was trying to be like give it like a crazy meaning. Like I wanted to be like a math equation, like David times music equals greatness or something like that. Like so like David X Music, but yeah, I don't know. Like I think I remember I told this girl like that was gonna be my name, and she like laughed, and so I was like, let me change it. And so I shortened it to David X, and then eventually, like I think taking out the vowels just looked cooler, and then the capitalization came like after that too. So that's just where we're at right now. I think just it just sounds cool and looks cool.
For sure. And to speak more about like the other music, like with Candid plus Maria and the Irreplaceable Now, like what were like the creative processes and inspirations for those ones?
Man, so like the Irreplaceable Now, I made that like after, just I guess like it was post pandemic, and like I think it was like I guess loneliness was really like catching up to me. And I just was really, really in my head, and like was really like trying to figure out, like who I am and like what I'm trying to do, and like, what is life. I was just thinking real like existential. Like a couple of the songs I had already done, like, but most of them I did like that year. Like a lot of the songs like from like Two Hearts and like Sensory Overload and The Irreplaceable Now, I was kind of all making at the same time. I just kind of like grouped them and dropped them at different times. I just grouped them according to like what songs like fit the projects better. But I made a lot of music in like 2021 and like 2022. And so like a lot of those songs like they were a part of all the same process. I think the only difference was just really just figuring out, okay, this one works, this one doesn't work.
For
Yeah.
sure. No, I know what you mean. And like as far as like even with like production and all that too, like how do you even like feel about like rapper type beats and like if like producers like diminish like their artistry like when making those like types of beats, or like do you feel like it's like totally the opposite?
I think it's a balance. So like I think of course like when you're first starting, I think trying to like do like a tight beat is really I think it can really help you a lot in trying to in like brushing up on your skills and like getting better at making music, but also getting it helps you kind of get into the main frame or the mind frame of creating things catering toward an artist, and targeting. Like I think that's a really big important thing, and I think that I kind of wish I had like a phase like that, sooner, or really grasp that too, because out the gate, I feel like I was just trying to like just make all types of like weird stuff and like crazy, just trying to experiment. And I think that's why I said it's a balance, because I do think that like experimentation and all that is very, very important. But I think it's very, if you want to be a successful producer, being able to like, pinpoint somebody's sound and being able to like, create around that and like and custom tailor towards something, is very important. Of course, like, try to find like a unique style, and don't try to like create something that's done before, but definitely use those elements and really understand why things work and why things don't work, and how giving like the artist space to like rap or sing, or and structure and all that. So I think tight beats is a really good training ground. I just don't think it should be where you stay.
Yeah. Like kind of like more like a reference, like in a sense to like how like songwriters or like producers send reference tracks to, like other artists too, and then that artist like tends to like encapsulate like their own version like in a way and all that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
To continue on with the conversation too, like I know like in terms of like producing and all that, like there is like a lot of like expectations like and like other like factors and all that as well too. So like to even like speak up more on like one of your things and all that, like what are your pet peeves as like a producer and like engineer, like in a sense and all that?
Okay. I don't hmm, I don't like working with people that I can't really like push to be great. Like I like people who are like not really receptive to like criticism, and like who, I feel like have like a ceiling on, or have a ceiling for themselves. Like I think because I feel like I want the best out of people, I like anybody that I'm working with, I want to like push them to be like really, really, really good at what they do and just make the best music possible. But if I feel like somebody doesn't really like, doesn't have the ability, or or even like the willingness to like to take their like what they're doing to the next level, I think that's like a real big red flag for me, and I probably won't be like spending much time with them. But and like I guess what's another pet peeve, I guess All right, so like this is weird, but like I feel like a lot of people, a lot of other producers feel the same way, but I kind of hate sending beats. Like I hate like trying to like email and text beats because it's always like just I don't know, just always like throwing darts in the dark. Like it feels because I don't know, I can't really like tell what the vibe is ever gonna be. So it's really just like playing the lottery almost. I mean, of course you might like make something geared toward people, but I feel like I do the best work, and like most of the songs that I have with people like producing for people, like I produce with them like on the spot, like in person. So like or at least like, was in the room and played the beat for them. So it's yeah. I prefer like getting like closer to the artist like that rather than, sending stuff, or at least hopping on like FaceTime and then like being able to play stuff for people, because then I can gauge like, oh, you like this kind of vibe, or you're in this kind of mood, or maybe like this one isn't really like your swag, or you can't really find, like, you might like it but you can't really find the pocket, or it just might not fit what you're doing. So I just want to be able to like, secure the vibe as like as best as possible.
With like artists like not being prepared like in the studio or like even to like record or produce and all that, and or if they feel like like they might not know, they might know more than the producer like when in terms of production and engineering, even if they haven't like produced or engineered before and all that, would you like also consider those as like pet peeves?
Yeah, I could say those are like pet peeves. I really don't. I feel like I don't really come across that as often though. But yeah, like wasting time is always just like always sucks. But also like in the same breath though, like sometimes like if you're not paying for the studio time, like just having times where you're just bonding with the artist and really like getting to know them and like their like style and like the things that they like, the things that they don't like is can be like really important. But I would say like, just being like just getting somewhere late and then I guess not take okay, I guess like generally like what you're like getting at is just like not taking it seriously. And like that is a pet peeve of mine because, just because I do take it so seriously. Or I guess like not necessarily, well, okay, so there's like a slippery like it's like there's like two sides of the coin, because you can have somebody who they don't take themselves too seriously, and they just want to like do something, and if you go into it like knowing that, then it's not really that bad. But if you see somebody who like claims to take themselves seriously but completely doesn't take it seriously, that can be a pet peeve of mine for sure. But I would say that doesn't really like get to me too often, or too much for real.
Nah, for sure and all that. And like I guess like I know like some studios like they'll have like studio rules or studio mandates too, like like weed or liquor or like just like vibes and all that too, like having people. So I don't know if you have like kind of like some like studio like house rules or ground rules like that by any chance and all that.
Nah, I mean, as long as it's like not crazy, nothing like wild, and I feel like if it enhances the process, then sure, why not?
Nah, for sure, man. And to speak more on your touring experience, like as a performer and a DJ, like you also perform like your first show was with David the Tragic, I think in New York City, and then continued on to like DJing and performing with like Kenny Mason like all around like America and like Canada, Europe, and like everywhere else as well too and all that. So tell me more about that experience and how was that impact like on the road and all that?
Man, so yeah, well, like first off, like I mean, I've been kind of performing my entire life. So like like my first like I guess like perform time I performed in front of a crowd was like probably like my like kindergarten talent show. I like did the talent show like, and I just performed like a song with like some kid that I knew. And that was like, but I've like been on getting on stages, like I've been in theater like in middle school, and like I've been like dancing like and performing like my whole life. So I had already had like a good foundation for like being able to perform. But I would say like the biggest difference between, just performing like growing up and actually performing on tour is, I guess, really like, I guess, the validation, and then also, just seeing like I don't know, it really expanded my like mind on, what people like, what people don't like, what people could like. And 'cause like I don't know, like I guess I never would have expected like a song like Beat It Up to go up in like Bellingham, Washington, you know? So
Hmm.
it's like, but you never really know until you're out there. And in turn it really like gave me like it kind of boosted my confidence. Like even like going to a place like being in Amsterdam, like Kenny that he did a show out in Amsterdam in 2022 and he didn't have an opener. So I just asked him, yo, could I open up for you? Like, could I get like a set? And he was like, sure, why not? And so I performed and like the crowd was like going crazy for me, and I guess it really does like, it does boost my confidence a lot and really like tells me, yo, like I'm doing the right thing because, in Atlanta it can be really tough performing for people because it's mostly like everybody is an artist and everybody feels like they're important and everybody feels like, they're the star. And so a lot of people don't really know how to like enjoy like a live show because at the end of the day, it's like either like, yo, I can do this better, or my homie can do this better, or I'm looking at it from a lens of, I'm just looking at you and not necessarily in the vibe of like, oh, this is an artist that I could actually potentially like add to my rotation or really, really be interested in, like, as opposed to like, being in like, I don't know, Vancouver and I go up on stage and nobody and a lot of people haven't even heard of me before. But from the lens of like, this is somebody who's opening up for an artist that they already really like, and on top of that, like I'm actually like good at what I do and I actually have pretty good music. It's like, oh, dang, like, that's really like I can really actually get into you and people are a whole lot more receptive when they don't know you, honestly, in my opinion. Like and that was like the biggest thing. And so in turn, it really just made me like want to like go harder and like like just really just be me more and like be more confident in who I am and like my music and like what I do and just really do it to the fullest, like no matter what I think other people might like or how people might feel like or regardless of what I think people might feel about a song that I have, or trying to tailor myself to a certain crowd instead just be me regardless, because the worst thing they could do is just not like it. But also, it also taught me that I need to get in front of more people that like, or just new people. I just need to
Yeah.
get more exposure to like those kinds of people who are willing to like who are on the search for new music, and new artists and like stuff like that. And as opposed to like, just trying to keep on pushing the stuff to like the same 3,000 followers I've had.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean, man. And like I know, like as you said too, like as you mentioned, like in a city like Atlanta, like everyone's like a performer or an artist or a rapper or R&B singer and all that. So like the
Mhm.
shows might not be as connected in gaining a fan base too. And but like in other areas, as you said, like Toronto or like New York or anywhere else too, like like there might be that connectivity, like depending on the area and all that too. It is like kind of like the same for like other cities as well too, like as like mentioned. But like in terms of like even through performing, have you managed to gain like a lot of like fans like on your own, like from like those like different cities and markets, and if they've been like fostered into like tapping into like a lot of like the releases and stuff like that too that you've been dropping and all that?
Yeah, so like after every show, like I would see the impact on like, people would like DM me. Like I would get like a lot of followers. Like I would visually like see like, like see these people like, oh, dang, they followed me from this show and now they're like posting my music now. Or even going on my Spotify like analytics and seeing that like, the show that we just performed at is now my like top city. And on Spotify, which is kind of like it's kind of crazy, but yeah, nah, it's yeah, and it also that also like kind of put into perspective, like yo, like everybody thinks about like numbers, like and like stats and like data, and like yo, like this is the like like you think, I guess people think about people in terms of numbers and being on tour and really like seeing like those like those all those like individual people, you know, like are the numbers, you know. It's crazy just like thinking, okay, like instead of like looking at these people as just numbers and like trying to like and look at these like plays as like, you know, just stuff to like run up, you know, as almost as if it's like a high score. It's really like, dang, I should really try to connect with the people and like with these people because that's what they are, and give them like something that they can really really hold on to and really like enjoy and like really make a part of their lives, you know, because behind like, you know, every like play is like somebody who press play for for some reason, you know. And you know, that's, I feel like that's something that I it's something that it's kind of like some stuff that you already know, but like seeing it in like in full in real time is it definitely has a different impact on you.
Yeah. And like even just like going to different areas too, like being a kid from like Atlanta, going to only like certain areas here and there, to going to different places like all around like the world and all that. Like did it like change your perspective on like how you like view things and how you see like reality from like different lenses and like from different like factors, like just the way people eat, talk, communicate, like how like life moves from there and all that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, of course, to me the most obvious thing was like, you know, the food. Like everybody eats like different food, and like trying to find out what to eat at every like in every city was it could be like it could be fun, but sometimes it's just like, yo, what is this? Like, what am I going to eat? Like, I don't even know like what this is like even around here. Like and but I mean it's not like super drastic, but it's just like, dang, like, you know, I never really put into perspective like in Atlanta, like I know exactly what I want to eat, you know, or what to eat, because you know that's like, I guess that's more regional food. But also like just also being in a place like, I don't know, like Ann Arbor, Michigan, and like coming to the realization like, dang, like they actually are like rappers here, because like not everybody wants to be a rapper. You know, in Atlanta, like it's like everybody wants to, like almost everybody has a song. Like at least like a song recorded, or has been in the studio, or knows somebody who makes music. And it's just so normalized. But like in a place like, you know, just in the middle of nowhere like America, or just regular places, like people just like have regular jobs, and like making music and like being an artist isn't like a real thing for them. Like it's just something that, you know, like an artist might come into town and like do that, like and do that, but like they don't really have like like a scene like that doesn't exist. Like what is that? Like they just know like Taylor Swift, you know,
Yeah.
like, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, it definitely like puts into perspective like how different the place that I'm from like is from like, you know, a normal place. And also like what's crazy is just like, I don't know, it's just like not just how few black people there are everywhere.
Yeah.
Other than
Nah.
Atlanta, like Atlanta is just so many black people, and like, you know, and I feel like I don't know, I just feel at home just like with around this like this many like black people. Like I feel like I kind of felt like that way in like Houston. Like I feel like, okay, like dang, these are my people for sure. But yeah, like there's no place like quite like Atlanta, and in terms of like the black population and just like how, I guess, how welcoming people are for that to that.
For sure, man. And like we just only have like some like a couple of a couple of these like questions left for a bit too and all that. But I feel like these are like kind of like important ones as well too. So, you aside from like Kenny Mason, you've worked with Jaleel, Tom the Mailman, Fem, Wiley from Atlanta, like Dave the Tragic, Bear One Boss, and like Kodie Shane and all that. And so, how did those like connections like come about, and like what was like working with them like in terms of like creating music with them and like producing and like just like knowing their style like a little bit more like more and all that?
Yeah, nah, it's like, I don't know. I feel like I've like came across all those people in like all in different ways. Like I would say like people like David the Tragic, Wiley from Atlanta, even Tom the Mailman, just met them from just being around. You know, Atlanta is just like has a kind of a tight-knit scene. So like if you know one person, you probably know somebody else, or at least know somebody that knows that person. So it's kind of easy to like, I guess, either run into somebody at a show and just, you know, like get to know them, or just like might like you might know somebody that knows somebody and that they're cool with, and you know they might pop up at the studio or something. And so that's like I'm definitely met Wiley at shows. We used to just be on the same shows, like or at least Kenny, because I wasn't really like rapping at the time. I was just kind of like tagging her along and like producing for people and stuff. But so that was like that's like Wiley and like David the Tragic. Like I met him through like other another artist, and like I just yeah just going to shows and other artists. And same thing like Barrel and Boss, just like I met him for the first time at like a studio just randomly. Like he just popped in with some people and like he probably doesn't even remember that. Like that was like such a long time ago. And then just being around, like people will just like it really is just being around. But as far as like, going outside of like Atlanta, like working with people like JELEEL and Film, like those in particular were like set up by like like publishers, like publishing companies, like or particularly like one publishing company who set me up with those sessions, like whenever I would go out to LA. I actually worked with Film in Atlanta, but it was the same like publishing company that like hit me up, or that hit me and was like, yo, like we have this artist like coming in Atlanta, like want to see if you want to do like a session. And so that was really like I feel like that was leveraging like relationships and like, just letting just being open to just working with new people. Cause when I first started working with Jaleel, like he didn't really have a following the following that he has like at all. Like I remember he was like showing me all these TikToks of him doing backflips, and they didn't really have like any like plays or likes at all. And he was just like, yo, like I don't know what I'm like. He's like, yo, like this should definitely have more plays than it has. Like what's going on? I'm like doing all this stuff. Like this is crazy content. Why isn't it catching on? And I'm just like, yeah, it is crazy. And then lo and behold, like he caught steam, like, and like became like, this huge internet like entity, like or yeah, and it was like right in sync with like the songs that I like dropped like with him. Like it just all happened at the same time, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like an artist like Femme, who's like kind of more like into like the whole like alternative like emo like rock type thing, because she did like a song with like Lil Xan too and all that, it's like
Mhm.
something that is like kind of like totally like unexpected to like even Jaleel, who is like sort of bearing within the underground too and all that, like even with his rise as an artist too, like it is like interesting to see like a lot of like the connections from there, like Kodie Shane too, because Kodie Shane was like probably like one of the biggest artists like coming out of like Atlanta from a bit too, working with like Lil
Yeah.
Yachty, the Sailing Team and all that too, to Trippy, Uno, those types of people too, and that connection like also like worked as well too, so it is like kind of like amazing to see and all that, no.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. Like I met Kodie when I was still in high school. Like we were still very like young. Like and I had a homie like who had access. I so it was random. Like I had a homie at in high school who just like would just randomly like come up to me and be like, "Yo, like I like love what you're doing, like love your music." I'm like, "Dang, you're even like checking it out? That's kind of crazy." But then like I didn't come to find out he was like really good friends with Rich Homie Quan's little brother. And so and like so then I think them two they wanted to like they started like grabbing like all the artists that like I was working with in Atlanta and at my high school at the time, and they wanted to start like a little like label or whatever. And so they started like renting out studio time. And then I remember one day they just brought in like they were like, man, we found this fire artist, like she's crazy. And lo and behold, it was Kodie. And I was like, dang, nah, like Kodie's crazy. Like she's like really fire. And so I wanted to make a song with her like real bad. And then like I think they sent this one beat I had to her, and they invited me to the studio with her one night. And like yeah, we she just knocked out that Hey Nikki song, which is crazy. Like I was like that was really really dope. But yeah, and so like I had like me and Cody go like way way back. But I actually like just like worked with her again like for the first time in so long, like this year. Like we did a session in LA, which was kind of crazy. Cause yeah, we were just like at like when we first worked together, like we didn't like she wasn't really like, she hadn't even just joined, she hadn't even joined the sailing team yet. So she was like it was all like real like, she was just real, I guess, like, still pretty underground, but she was like young as shit too. We were all just really young.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean because like I'm born in like '96 and all that too. So like I know like the eras like connecting with like the '90s kids and all that with late '90s to the early like mid '90s. It is like interesting to see like with the whole connection with our interests, with the cultures, with the sounds, everything like that too. And yeah, like works of art can be like done from there and all that too. So nah, it's definitely like amazing to see and all that, so
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
sure. And to even speak more about like the ATL like underground scene, like with you being like a part of it too and all that. Like I know Atlanta, like it is like booming right now with like artists like Anti the Menace, like Lil Tony, Tony Snow and all that, Caribou, the Concrete Crew and all that, Anicia, like like even some like the artists like from Opium and all that, Kenny Mason, Jay Newton, David the Tragic, and all that, and like a lot more and all that. So it is like amazing to see from there. But do you feel that the ATL underground scene is at a better place at the moment in your opinion, or do you feel like that there should be some more exposure that needs to be done so that everyone can get like a slice of the pie and all that?
Yeah, so it's all like, so I feel like it has this like moments like of where it's like this and then like this and then like this and then like this. And like right now, I feel like we're kind of like this and kind of like getting back to this a little bit, but like the pandemic really like messed it up because like I feel like 2019 we were really like this. But where like whereas like anybody who was like popping out of Atlanta, like kind of knew each other. And like it was the same like that was like 2019, but and I feel like that was the same way that how it was back in like 2014 when like McConan and like Mako and like Father Key 2 9 even like Young Thug and like Rich Homie Quan 21 Savage, all those people kind of were like running around in the same circles with like the same producers and stuff like that. And so I feel like it's really interesting because there's so many different factors because the internet is a very very powerful thing, but the internet is like one, like you got internet Atlanta, but then you also got club Atlanta, and you also but then you also kind of got like the little like scene Atlanta, where it's like like the club Atlanta is probably where like a lot of like the trap artists kind of like blow off of, like doing club appearances and like getting their songs played in strip clubs in Atlanta. And that's how they probably get exposure, because when people come from out of town to Atlanta, a lot of like the main tourist spots are like the strip clubs. And so that's probably when they're hearing like, oh, what's the sound of Atlanta? That's probably the sound that they're hearing a lot of the time. And then also like you got the internet people who are like really, really good at leveraging the internet and really like, memeing their music and like, also kind of like, being building a community online and like making those connections with like people through that. And I feel like those are like a lot of the younger people who are like who aren't even old enough to get into a club. And like so that I feel like that's where like a lot of the younger kids are like getting their motion from. But then and then you have like the people who are just on the scene, and those are like more so like the alternative, and that has like overlap with the internet too. But I feel like I think a lot of like the bigger industry people and gatekeepers, they kind of cherry pick from each of those like sectors, and because like I would say like in the trap scene, I feel like there's like a hierarchy, like with YSL and like with like Slaughter Gang and like 4L. Like you would have like, YSL, you could get signed by Thug, and then you're automatically put into these rooms with like big mainstream artists. Or if you like, you get like if you get in with like Slaughter Gang, you're automatically like you probably can like have access to a lot of like different things that a lot of people, who are just like in the scene that don't have. And then on the internet side, I feel like you have like all the different like A&Rs and managers coming out of the woodwork, like from all different parts of the country, like Brooklyn or New York, or like even LA, or even like, Toronto, who like will like reach out to these kids and be like, yo, like let me like manage you and represent you, like, and I can like get you to the next level. And so I feel like it would be cool to like bridge all those things together. And I think the main thing that's like missing is just like, those staples and like those like those places where like everybody knows like this is where you go in order to like make it out essentially. Because I feel like back in like 2014 era, they had department store, and that's where a lot of people like came through. Like that's where like Key really was like popping. That's where like 21 Savage had to perform, in order to like pop. That's and all of that kind of like bled over to into like Post Malone stuff. Like they had and even like beer and tacos, that was like a main thing too. That was like a concert series that would happen where they had like people like Bankroll Fresh and like Migos and even yeah, Key and Post Malone performed on Beer and Tacos in Atlanta. But like those were like staples where it was just like, yo, if you do this, you are like certified like out of here. Or like these are the people that we need to like pay attention to. And I think I don't know, it's like isn't I don't think it's ever going to be completely centralized, but it would just be cool to just have like a place or like a show or something like that that could really like launch careers or like really I guess determine what's like the real next thing out of like the entire city of Atlanta.
Yeah, nah, I definitely like agree too on all that. And even with like a lot of people that do want to like tap in with like music and all that too, like let's say like there's like people that want to like check you out for like the very first time and all that too, like what would be like free songs that you would like recommend for them to check out for those who haven't like heard about you for the first time or that would like to know like more about you and all that, you know?
Hmm. Let's see, three songs. I would say number one is for sure All the Way. I would say number two, Santa Monica. Um, and three, hmm, three is a toss up because like I don't know, it that could go a lot of different ways. Um, hmm.
I guess like beat it up and all that.
Yeah, I would say like Beat It Up, just yeah, for the sake of now. Like that's like the most recent song, yeah. Three essential songs right now. Three essential David X songs right now.
Ah, true. Nah, like I definitely know what you mean, man. And so what do you have going on next? Like, and do you have any like closing remarks you'd like to say for people that are like watching this and all that?
Yeah, so like next up right now, I'm like probably planning on dropping just singles for the rest of the year, and more just keeping up with like the up tempo dance stuff. I really want to just make people dance this year. I think that's my goal. Like I really love like the up tempo. Like I feel like that's a lane that a lot of people aren't really tapped into, and I think it's missing. I think it would be a great addition to like just the vibes of the summer. So like that's the vein I'm really like pretty much gonna be dropping in for the most part this year. And yeah, just I guess gearing up for like maybe a project or a couple of projects next year. But just yeah, just making a lot of music. But yeah, definitely expect like more just more like dance vibes and trying to get more features in and also just producing for a lot of people. Like yeah, and yeah, it's pretty much just dance vibes. But
Uh,
yeah, but I guess like closing remarks, I guess say like I really just like I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. But yeah, I'm David X. Yeah, I'm artist, producer, like from Atlanta. Like I really just want to make music that like I don't know, makes people have fun and like and also just people like I don't know, stuff that people can escape to, like create a world people can escape to and like also relate to, you know.
yeah, for sure. And they could follow like where can they like follow you like on like social media and all that?
You can follow me everywhere at DvDx underscore. That's like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And also my website is dvdx.one. I got some merch up there. Yeah, if you want to check it out, like yeah, probably also planning on dropping some more merch this year. I want to do like more shows. Hopefully I can do more shows like outside of Atlanta. That would be great. Yeah, just to expand, I feel like I've like played the Atlanta market a whole lot, and so I feel like it would be more beneficial for me to like, get up out of there for a little minute.
Yeah, nah, for sure, man.